Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Seth and Sean Sports Radio. Sean Palmer here. Seth Kamen's in a meeting, so hopefully he'll be here soon enough. It's been a wild, wild week with regards to sporting events, but none so wild as Syracuse coming back and making their best win that they've had in 10 years. At least that's for me. Look, I deal with this all the time where you are a basketball school, right? Syracuse, Maryland, we talk about this all the time. We are basketball schools. I mean, it would be nice if we weren't, but we are. We're basketball schools, and we are looking at our football program through a lens that can we be just good enough to matter? Because we're not going to make it into that upper echelon. And if you've been a fan of the show, you know that I came into the season with pretty high hopes. We had a new coach, Fran Brown. He was hired actually 1 year ago today. The recruiting coordinator from Georgia, the secondary coach, the top leading recruiter from there. In comes Kyle McCord, who broke every single passing record that Syracuse has in their illustrious history. A surefire Sunday draftee in LaQuint Allen at the running back spot. A bunch of transfers, and we haven't used the transfer portal well enough, and that's the new age of college football. And so we came in and, look, I thought there was a chance that we would go to the CFP. We would go to the college football playoff. And the only way that was going to happen is if you basically ran the table, right? So Syracuse goes out, they win their first 6 games. Remember, they won 4 out of the first 6 games. And remember, I have placed 2 bets this year. Syracuse to be over 7 wins, and pretty confident in that when I went to Vegas. And then the Wizards under 22 wins, which I feel more and more confident every single day. So here we are. We get to Pittsburgh. We're 5-1 against Pittsburgh, who was 6-0, and we lay an egg, right? We lay a big egg. 40 points, 5 interceptions. I believe it was 4 returned for a touchdown. It was insane. Kyle McCord's worst game ever. Lost to Stanford, then lost to BC, and you come into the game against Miami and you say, okay, this could be a game, right? This could be a game that solidifies the program, right? Brings the program back up to where we need to be. And what that means is relevant. That means you're not automatically going to the Pinstripe Bowl or automatically going to the Fenway Bowl every single year. You have a chance of going to the Holiday Bowl. You have a chance of going to the Gator Bowl, the Military Bowl, something that's not the last spot in the ACC. And Syracuse comes back from 21. And as I said, a huge win for the program. And now, as we know, in this type of atmosphere called the college football at this point, in this era of college football, there are a couple of things that you have to keep in line. Number one is Fran Brown going to stay. So great recruiter, great first-year coach. But we all know, we being Syracuse faithful, we all know that we are not a football school, right? We're just not. So we are a stepping stone program. We are a program that if Georgia, Alabama, Arkansas, Auburn, anybody from the SEC, anybody from the Big Ten comes calling, he's going to listen. So it holds you to a standard of how good can you be without being too good that your coach leaves. And so you go 8-3, 9-3. We've won 9 games. We're going to a bowl game. You win 10 games, first time in a while. And you just hope that Fran Brown is back for another year. I've said this before. I think he will be here for next year. And then that will be the year that he moves on, potentially. And I hope not. Look, he's been the best coach we've had since the first year of Dino Babers. I hope not. He recruits amazingly. We got the 33rd ranked recruiting class in the country. That hasn't happened in a while. We have 9 wins, which means I make money. That hasn't happened in a while. But you only hope. Now, you look at Kyle McCord, and Kyle McCord sets all these records and through the transfer portal. He came from Ohio State. And you say, okay, well, now where do we go? Because we don't have a quarterback. And we'll look again in the transfer portal. And that's just the way that is going to work. Because if you have the chance to get a guy that has 2 years of experience, right? Has 2 or 3 years of experience. Why, if you are a coach, would you settle on a freshman? Why would you mature one of those players? And I think you're going to see less and less mature quarterbacks. And it's unfortunate, but that's what you're going to do. Okay. So the CFP college football rankings came out, at least for right now, right? So we have some championship games that are going on this week. But we have Oregon at number 1, the only undefeated team in the top 25. Oh, by the way, Syracuse is now 22nd ranked. I love it. 9-3, 22nd ranked. Okay. So Oregon's number 1, Texas number 2, right? They're probably going to get a first round bye. Remember, the 4 seeds for the Big Ten, the SEC, the ACC, and the group of 4, they get buys. So right now the projected buys are Oregon, Texas, SMU from the ACC, and Boise State. And even more so, if you're a Syracuse fan, yay, we booted out Miami from the playoff. Yes. Miami ranked Miami at 12, but they're done. So we have some other teams, especially when it comes to the Big 12 championship game. Arizona State plays Iowa State, and one of them is in. So Miami at 12 is definitely going down. Alabama at 9-3. There have been some people that have said they put the logo in over they put the team. I would agree with that when it comes to Alabama. Alabama has not been pretty. I'm looking at, so number 3 is Penn State. Number 4 is Notre Dame. 5 is Georgia with 2 losses. Ohio State, who still can't beat Michigan. And, man, Will Howard had the worst game at the worst time. But that sounds familiar. When you're a Ryan Day quarterback, are they going to get rid of Will Howard? Because I believe he's a senior transfer. So Syracuse can't take him. We thank you for Kyle McCord, though. Because obviously it wasn't Kyle McCord's fault. Tennessee at 7, SMU at 8, Indiana 9, Boise State 10, Alabama at 11. So matchups I'd love to see. Notre Dame versus Indiana. Now, Indiana is a great story. Fabulous story. And we hope that we can see something along those lines. Not sure that'll happen, but we hope that it will. Could Indiana get more nuts if you have that? Oregon and Texas getting those buys. Texas is going to play in the SEC championship game, right? Overall, this is what I wanted, right? You want 12 teams. And Seth says this best. You can argue Miami doesn't have an argument. Miami beats Syracuse, they're in. They don't have an argument. South Carolina doesn't have an argument. They lost 3 times. Ole Miss doesn't have an argument at 13. They lost 3 times. When you have a 4-team playoff, you will have an argument, right? Because if you just took the first 4, you would have a cutoff at Notre Dame at number 4, but you'd have SMU with 1 loss, Indiana with 1 loss, and Boise State with 1 loss. And you'd say, how do you put Notre Dame above those? When, especially since Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois. When you have teams outside of the college football playoff at 2 or 3 losses, much the same way as the 65th team in the NCAA basketball tournament, you say, you shouldn't have lost 3 times. You shouldn't have lost twice. And that's just the way it rolls. And I'm okay. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with stating that if you're Miami, you had a chance of getting into this playoff by beating Syracuse, and you didn't do that. You lost 42-38. And if you are Ole Miss and you lost 3 times, well, if you had lost 2, you wouldn't be number 13. Same thing with South Carolina. Same thing with Clemson. Clemson's going to have a chance to get in if they beat SMU, and then SMU will have 2 losses, and they're at number 8. So I guess we will see if Clemson beats SMU. Does Alabama with 3 losses get in before SMU with 2? That's where it comes right down to it. Yeah. So I don't know where Seth is, and I can talk for an hour if I want, but everything else that we're talking about can wait till next week. Everything else in this situation. Oh, here he is. Seth's here. Hey, buddy.
I thought we were doing 5:15.
Oh shit, we were doing 5:15. I forgot. That's on me.
That's okay. I'll jump off at 5:45.
Well, we're
golden bat is the greatest thing in the history since sliced bread.
Wait, you're jumping off at 5:45, but we're doing 5:15. That's still 6:15.
I'm jumping off at 6 then. I got it. But
all right.
Well, we're doing it now. What do we?
We're doing it now. We're doing it now. So did
anyone bet on Maryland giving 32.5 in the first half last night?
Wait, what?
Maryland 50, Ohio State 17 at halftime last night.
Did they win the game?
Yeah, by like 28.
Okay, well, they won the game, because if they didn't win the game, that would have been worse. Well, Syracuse lost by 30 against Tennessee on Tuesday. We were going through the college football playoff. And
playoff? We're talking about playoff?
And I said, I fully agree. When you get to the 12 teams, right, which is where we are today, you had an argument when there were 4, right? The 5th team had an argument. I am taking the Seth Kamen's approach that with 12 teams, if you're number 13, you should have won 1 less game. I
don't give a crap.
You have no argument, right? Now, I'm interested. I really want Clemson to beat SMU, because that's the only way that you're getting chaos. Because if Clemson beats SMU, does SMU get in over Alabama?
No.
No?
No.
So Alabama is the only 3-loss team that gets in.
Yeah. Well, I think it brings up the interesting point of if you lose in a title game, what exactly is the reward for being in the title game in the first place?
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. So why would you say SMU would not kick out Alabama? Alabama's not in the title game.
Because who does ESPN and whoever's watching?
No, but you just said you shouldn't get penalized for being in a title game.
You shouldn't, but you will be.
Oh, but you will be. Okay, you're saying that will happen no matter what.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
No, they went 11-1.
Yeah.
They lost to a ranked BYU team by 4. Alabama's in right now. So you're going to put in Miami? Well, Miami's a sexier pick. Ole Miss is a sexier pick. South Carolina is a sexier pick. They have 3 losses. Miami lost to freaking Syracuse.
Hey, not freaking Syracuse. I just spent the last 15 minutes extolling my team for a great win and a great season. We're ranked 22nd, buddy.
I'm happy for you, buddy.
I mean,
if you had an 18-game season, maybe you would have made the playoff.
If we didn't lay an egg against Pittsburgh, we would have been in the playoff.
What's throwing 6 interceptions amongst friends?
And I was there, right? Because of course I was there. But I said the sexiest first round game to me. I would love to see Notre Dame, Indiana in the first round.
Why would that be sexy?
It's just the the state of Indiana would go ballistic.
State of Indiana doesn't give a crap about football unless you went to Notre Dame, and most people from Indiana didn't go to Notre Dame. They went to Indiana.
The thing is, in Indiana fans, I don't know how many you know. I know a couple have gotten so much into this team because just like Syracuse fans, it's a revitalization of a football program, right, at a basketball school. So I think like you hope that this continues, but you're just relishing in the fact that this is a year that it's there. And so I think that would be a sexy – I think that would be a sexy game. As far as other games are concerned, meh. I mean, do you really want to see Georgia, Alabama for like the 25th time in the first round? No. I mean, do you want to see Ohio State, Indiana again? No,
but I wouldn't mind seeing Ohio State, Georgia.
Yes. Well, that would be fine. I mean, yeah. I mean, which Will Howard is showing up, that would be an interesting question. Is Ryan Day even going to show up? I mean, he says that he's the coach. Is it redemption if Ohio State wins a national championship?
It is.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. I don't buy this crap that losing to Michigan, winning a national championship is not as important is less important than beating Michigan. I'm sorry, I don't.
Okay. I mean, so if Ryan Day makes the CFP championship game, it's a successful season for Ohio State.
I think so.
Do they have to win that national championship to get the stink of Michigan off their back, is what I'm saying. Is that the only way? Is Ryan Day back next year if he doesn't win a national championship? That's a better question.
Yes.
Okay.
This is so ridiculous. Their buyout is $40 million.
Oh, please don't tell me about buyouts when Lincoln Riley it may be bought out.
And
when
Lincoln
Jimbo
Riley's not
Fisher
going to be bought out. Nobody cares enough about you in California about football to pay him $80 million to go away. That only happens in the Southeast.
Okay.
It's not going to happen. Ryan Day is 46-4 against anybody who's not Michigan.
Right.
You're not buying him out. And who are you going to bring in? Who's better?
Well, that's the other question, right? Who are you going to bring in? I mean, Florida State did that with Jimbo. We saw how that worked, right? Texas A&M did that with Jimbo. We saw how that worked. Right? So, I mean, yeah. I did say, before you joined, I am pretty afraid that Fran Brown has one more year at Syracuse if this happens.
And then he goes into the transfer. He goes into the transfer portal.
Yeah, basically, he gets poached. I think that is the unfortunate situation of college coaches. You have your stepping stone jobs, and you and I talked about this offline. This is why you won't recruit freshmen anymore to play quarterback, because if they go to, I don't know, let's say Maryland, Syracuse, any smaller school, right? If they succeed in 2 years, they won't be there as a junior. They'll be at Alabama, or they'll be at Oregon, or they'll be at USC. They'll be at somewhere where they can pay them. And so why recruit freshmen for premium positions? Doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, if I say this all the time when it comes to professional sports, there's no bad one-year contract. Well, guess what? College is all one-year contracts. So there's no bad one-year contract in college sports at all. Okay, let's move on to the carnival. The carnival. And I call this the carnival because I thoroughly believe this is a carnival. Rob Manfred, who is our lovely commissioner of Major League Baseball, has decided to possibly tinker with what I will say is my longtime favorite sport. It's not my favorite sport anymore, but it certainly was my childhood favorite sport. Baseball went to a pitch clock. I didn't like it. It worked. It absolutely worked. I didn't like the 3-batter rule. I give him credit. It worked. I didn't like the DH. That did not work. You will not get me to ever admit that the DH is a good thing for baseball. No. This golden at-bat rule, Seth, I am shocked. I'm shocked that this is a thing. I'm shocked that this is even being considered. So, and I didn't even know what it meant until 2 days ago. So for those that are tuning into the show that don't know what Major League Baseball is contemplating, they're contemplating once a game, once or twice, they're debating, at any time during the game, you can send up any player to hit for at that time. So let's say you have bases loaded in the 7th inning, you're down 3-0, and I don't know, Oswaldo Perez is up, and Aaron Boone says, you know what? Golden at bat time. Golden at bat. Well, okay, Aaron Judge, come off the bench, and you're going to hit here. You're also going to hit in your regular spot. You're not out of the game, but you're going to hit here. And every team can do that once a game. Look, I understand it will add more strategy. It will. But my God, it is kind of like, okay, there's a foul in the 4th quarter. Let's send Steph Curry or Mark Price up there, right?
Right.
I don't get it. I don't get why that's being tinkered with. Please, if you have any thoughts that count what I just said, I'd love to hear them because I am befuddled by this. This is tinkering beyond tinkering to me. I don't think this is going to improve the game. I think this is going to kill the game. Your thoughts?
No, I think it's moronic.
Like I got nothing. I heard this yesterday. I see Michael Kay is like, yes, this is a great idea. And I'm like, Michael Kay has become the new Steve.
Michael Kay may be looking for a job soon. So maybe that's why he's trying to kiss up to maybe the MLB will need a full-fledged announcer. I don't think his radio show is being renewed.
No, I think he's moved from the afternoon to something else. I think Andrew Marchand reported that today. Yeah, I'm a little befuddled by that situation, and there are lots and lots of baseball is a game of stats. This will kill that concept, kill it, especially for in-game stats. So the 4 home runs, that'll happen again, no question. The 14 RBIs, that may happen again. Yes, somebody once got 14 RBIs in the Major League Baseball game. The 7 hits, that may work too. All of this stuff may happen. All these stats may be broken. Yeah, I'm befuddled. Okay. Jets lose again in moronic fashion. Giants lose again, not in moronic fashion.
Not in moronic fashion, but
just lose.
And now we lost Dexter for the year.
Yeah. Well,
so
we don't care anyway. You're okay with that. Yeah. Christian McCaffrey gone for the year.
Welcome Isaac Guarendos of 101 value. Angelo Williams of the 2020-24 season.
All we got to do is pick up Joe Flacco and we'll be fine. Yeah. So if you are playing fantasy football, you're in week 14, which is the last of the bye weeks. Congratulations, you made it to the last of the bye weeks. And if you are on the precipice of making the playoffs, I'm sorry if you have like 7 people on bye, because that's us. That is us. We rid ourselves of every bench player. We picked up Isaac Guerrero. Is it Guerrero? Guerrero. $104 from our Fab auction. I suggest you all spend $104 in your Fab auction on him. My question to you is, Seth, Brock Purdy came into this season as the next $40 to $50 million quarterback, right? I mean, basically. I'm not paying him that anymore.
No, and the funny part is, I don't know how much of it is his fault. Kittle's been really good this year, but McCaffrey's been hurt the whole year. Mason's been hurt. Ayuk's been hurt. Debo has been horrifyingly bad. Debo may be the worst wide receiver in the NFL this year, based on like some random statistic that nobody knows. But like he was like 118th out of 123rd or in something on Pro Football, one of the Pro Football ones. He's been horrifyingly bad. So the question is, if you are not a Super Bowl team, if your quarterback's not going to get you to that point, because the question is this team now peaked? Was last year it? And if it is, you're not signing a guy for $50 million a year. You're better off picking up Sam Darnold.
Well, that was going to be my next question. So, can Brock Purdy win you a game?
He can.
Oh, I don't think he can. That's the thing. I don't think.
Look, he's a good quarterback.
A good quarterback, yes.
I said a good quarterback.
I know, but I'm saying is he a game manager or is he a guy that wins you a game? Those are different players.
He's only been able to be a game manager based on the people that he has.
Okay.
And now he's gone from one extreme to the other.
Correct.
Where they have nobody. Who's the number 2 wide receiver right now in San Francisco?
Juwan
For number 3. Sorry, Debo's been hurt half the year. Who's after Debo? Ricky Pearsall, who's shot. Who's after him?
Oh, I get it.
You got
it. Okay, so hold on a second. So the top, I'm just going to go through. I'm going to go through the salaries. Okay. Tell me where Brock Purdy lands. Okay. For the top salaries this year. Okay. Tell me where in order he would land if we were just putting him if he's better or worse than any of these players. Kyler Murray. He's not better than Kyler Murray.
I would rather have Kyler Murray.
Would you rather have Matt Stafford?
No, because Matt Stafford's 40 years old.
No. Just say today. Don't say tomorrow. If you're playing today,
I'd rather have Stafford.
Okay. Would you rather have Prescott? I think you'd rather have Prescott. Not an injured Prescott, but
he's been pretty awful this year.
Well, he's hurt, so he's not playing.
Well, he was hurt before. He was awful.
Mahomes, no. Lamar, no. Josh Allen, no. Joe Burrow, no. Deshaun Watson is an anomaly, so let's say no. Jared Goff, no.
Did you say Deshaun Watson? No, you'd rather have Deshaun Watson?
No, Deshaun Watson's the anomaly, right? He's the anomaly of the case, right? He was given a contract. These are the order of salaries that quarterbacks are making. Okay. So Deshaun is an anomaly. We don't put Deshaun in there. Geno Smith, he's in the Geno Smith category.
I'd rather have him than Geno.
Okay. Kirk Cousins. Okay. Jordan Love.
No, I'd rather have Jordan Love.
Okay. Justin Herbert.
I'd rather have Herbert.
Right. Aaron Rodgers. I'd rather probably have Brock Purdy at this point.
I'd rather have Purdy.
Trevor Lawrence.
I'd rather have Purdy.
Okay. Jalen Hurts, Derek Carr, Tua.
Sorry, give me 1 second.
Okay.
I
don't have to take you off. Okay. So I didn't take you off. So if you fit him in the Geno Smith category, right? Geno to Baker Mayfield, like that category. He's at $35 million. By the way, Jared Love's making 29. Jordan Love's
right, but he's in the 5th year of it. He's in the 5th year.
No, this is for next year. This is 2025. I'm saying what you would sign. So the point is, we were talking a mega $1 million deal. We were talking about $50 million, right, per year. The only guys that are in $50 million land, well, Derek Carr doesn't count, but are Patrick Mahomes and Dak Prescott. That's it. That's cash spent. So I don't know what you're giving him, but I'm thinking he's no longer. And if you franchise him, I wonder what the franchise number. Hold on a
It's
second.
got to be $47-48 million.
Well, that's what I'm saying, right? That's franchise 2024 QB number. Okay, the franchise number was 38.3. So figure it's 40, right? It increases somewhat. So let's say it's $40 million. I would franchise Purdy for a year. Give him $40 million and say, do it again.
Yeah.
The difference, the problem with that, and there's always a problem when you franchise a player, is you don't get to spread that out over a period of time. So the cap number is exactly the number. So you see most players that are franchised, they are franchised, and then if they are signed after they are franchised, they are signed to a much longer term deal in order to knock down that number. And that would be Dak Prescott. You would not be able to do that with this type of thing. So the franchise number is 38. The transition number is 34. So let's say you give it to a transition number, which means you have the right of first refusal, but you get no compensation. If you're the Giants, are you signing Brock Purdy for $34 million? I don't think you are.
No.
The Jets aren't. I'm just saying, right? So is he worth $34 million on the open market? Is he even worth more than that on the open market?
The question is this. Let's say this year was an anomaly for San Francisco. Ayuk is back next year. You still got Debo. McCaffrey's healthy. Can you win a Super Bowl with Brock Purdy? Can San Francisco, not can the Giants or the Jets, can San Francisco win a Super Bowl with Brock Purdy as the quarterback?
I guess
the answer is yes.
Is Brock Purdy a system quarterback?
Doesn't matter.
Sure it is, because you could bring in another system quarterback.
What are you going to bring? You're not going to bring in a rookie quarterback at a team that's still has championship aspirations.
There's a guy in Atlanta that Kyle Shanahan has had his eye on for how many years?
And how much do you think you're going to have to pay to get him?
I think you're going to have to pay your first-round pick.
Come on in, Catherine.
I think you're going to have to pay your first-round pick. If you need to go off for a sec. If you paid your first-round pick for Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback than Brock Purdy. Yes?
If he's not finished, I need to see what the rest of his year looks like. He has been awful last month. He has not been great this year.
So Kirk Cousins' contract, right? We
4 years, $170 million.
Right. So, but understand that you're no longer paying the signing bonus. So you're getting 3 years at $90 million if you acquire him. You don't pay the signing bonus. Okay.
So, and you have outs. You
have one out after next year, after 2020.
Okay, so it's a 1 year, $30 million deal.
Potentially. Yep. Well, if you don't have the signing bonus, you can cut him any year. How much is guaranteed? Hold on. I'm sorry. You have roster bonuses of 10. None of this is guaranteed. You got the signing bonus.
Sean, kick me off for 2 minutes.
Yep. So when you deal with this, so what Kirk Cousins got was a 4-year, $180 million deal with $50 million signing bonus. So $50 million is guaranteed, and he got $100 guaranteed with roster bonuses over the course of time. So if they got Kirk Cousins, they would get him at 3 years and $30 million a year, give or take. If you're San Francisco and you have a chance to do that, would you rather sign Brock Purdy to a $34 million deal or $40 million deal for 1 year and hope, right? And then be held to that again in his next year because it's only a 1 year deal with a franchise tag? Or would you go to Atlanta and say, hey, you guys got Michael Penix, the 25-year-old rookie that nobody knew what was going on when they drafted him. Do you really want Kirk Cousins? And Kirk Cousins has not been great, but he has not been, I think Seth, he hasn't been what we believe Kirk Cousins could be, right? It's not who we thought Kirk Cousins would be. But Kirk Cousins is completing 67.4% of his passing, of his passes. He has thrown for over 3,000 yards. Yeah, he's thrown for 17 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. That ain't so great, right?
Yeah, but remember, he had one game he threw for 500 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Correct. So his last 3 games, he's had 245, 173, and 306, and they've lost all 3.
And how many interceptions has he thrown?
6, and no touchdowns. No touchdowns. I get it. No touchdowns. His QBR over the last 3 games, 34, 34, and 44. So, yeah, I get it. He's gone through a bad string.
Yeah, but look, he's old. He's older. I mean, I'm not saying he's done. I don't have the slightest idea.
He's 36. Yep. In quarterback years, I'm not sure that's old anymore, given what we've seen.
But it's age appropriate enough that you have to be a little concerned.
Sure. There's also this guy in New York that may need a new team, and San Francisco would be home, by the way.
You see him playing for Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch?
I would like to know if the Jets cut him, where else he would go. Just talk about it, right? Minnesota, maybe.
No.
Why would you say no? Definitely.
You just drafted a QB
who hasn't played all year,
but he should be ready for next year.
Well, we hope. You and I certainly hope. Okay, so where does he go? He's not going to Seattle.
No.
He's not going to let's go through them. I mean, I don't know if he wants to continue. I don't think he has much of a choice in where he goes.
Right, because I don't think he's not going to go to a Raiders, or he's not going to go to a team that's going forward end. That doesn't.
He's not going to Buffalo. He's not going to Miami. He's not going to New England. He's not going to Pittsburgh. He's not going to Baltimore. First of all, Pittsburgh.
They have the same. They got Russell Wilson, another 38-year-old quarterback. They're fine.
Right. He's not going to Baltimore. He's not going to Cleveland. He's not going to Cincinnati, right? Any of those guys. He's not going to Houston. Indy?
Do you see him in Indy?
I don't see him in Indy, Tennessee, or Jacksonville. So, no.
No, well, Jacksonville's got Trevor Lawrence. They're not.
I get it. Kansas City, the Chargers, the Broncos, the Raiders. Not going to any of those.
No,
the Eagles, the Commanders, the Cowboys, the Giants. The only way I could see him going to any of those is if they cut Dak and he goes to the
an $85 million hit. They're not cutting Dak.
Okay. By the way, 85 isn't what it used to be. The Lions, no. The Packers, the Bears, no. The Falcons, for 1 year if they get rid of Cousins.
You literally drafted Michael Penix.
I know. Okay. But if you could trade Cousins to San Francisco, sign Rodgers for 1 year, and have Penix sit for 1 more year, knowing that Rodgers has 1 more year. No? Okay. No Tampa Bay. New Orleans?
They're not good enough to be relevant.
No. Okay. Definitely not Carolina. Definitely not Seattle, Arizona, the Rams, and your favorite 49ers. Seth, if he wants a winning team, that's the team.
Oh, I'm not saying he wouldn't want to go there. I'm saying I don't think they would want him.
Okay.
He is not doesn't strike me as a John Lynch player.
No, I agree with that. I mean, I'm always interested in looking this up, though. I want to see, and obviously everything in the NFL can be moved, right? We've seen caps kicked down the road 1,000 times. But if you look at the 2025 cap, they have $27 million in cap space. And right now they roll over 49. So they have $64 million in cap space. They have free agents. I don't know if they have any free agents after what they just did last year. Javarius Ward is a free agent. I don't think that really counts. So Look, they can get either. I mean, they can look at either extending Purdy, but I think that's the question. What do you extend him at? I don't think you can extend him at what you extended him last year.
No, I agree.
I think he's a 4-year, $100 million player.
Yeah, he's in that Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith range.
Yeah.
I get it.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean I don't think you can win with him. They went to the Super Bowl with him.
But they didn't win because of him.
No, but he didn't hinder them either.
I agree. He is the equivalent of Brad Johnson.
No.
Brad Johnson once threw for 4,000 yards. Brad Johnson was a quality
decent quarterback. I get that. But what I'm saying is Brad Johnson went to the Super Bowl because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had 4 Hall of Famers on their defense.
Yep.
Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl because that Ravens defense is the greatest of all time.
Yep.
That is the San Francisco 49ers defense is nowhere near that good.
No, but Brad Johnson also didn't have the offensive weapons that.
Right, but they didn't need them because Tampa Bay beat the crap out of everybody on defense.
No, right, but what I'm saying is there are. I totally get what you're saying, but my point is it doesn't matter who you're surrounded with, as long as you're surrounded by somebody, right? So your point is they were surrounded by a great defense. My point is they're surrounded by other things. They're surrounded by the best running back in football when he's healthy. They're surrounded by two top wideouts when they're healthy, and probably the best tight end this year in football, and a tremendous offensive line. In fact, probably the best left tackle in football too. So he doesn't need to do it. That's my point. He doesn't need to do it. And I get what you're saying. I do. By the way, the year that 2002, they went to the Super Bowl, right?
Who, Tampa?
Tampa? Yeah, 2002.
2003, 2004, something like that.
Yeah, so he threw 22 touchdowns and 6 interceptions.
He was a nice quarterback.
Nice quarterback. Okay, I want to move on to one more thing before you go and before we go. So I looked up the other day, and I was looking up how well the Knicks were doing. Because much like you in baseball, I don't pay attention to NBA basketball, watching actual games, till after the NFL season, generally speaking. And I looked at the stats, and the worst team in the East, again, I predicted this correctly, is the Washington Wizards at 2-17. Do you know who the second worst team in the East is?
Philly.
At 5-15. Now, granted, they're in the East, right? So they're only they are 2.5 games out of a play-in spot. 2.5 games out of a play-in spot, which is ridiculous because the play-in number 10 is Indiana at 9-14. But this obviously has not worked. And part of this is because they're just not healthy. But my Lord, 5-15? Seth, they're averaging 105 points per game on offense and giving up 111 points. This is not what your 76ers, not yours, your collective.
Does this mean the process isn't processing?
This means Joel Embiid needs to reinvent the process. Yeah, I mean, they've had some really bad losses. Like these aren't they beat so their wins are over the Hornets, the Pistons, the Nets, and then the Hornets again. So and the Pacers, sorry. They have lost to the Pistons, who surprisingly are doing very well. I'm intrigued by the Pistons at 9-15. And if you told me, if you gave me a stat line, Seth, of 35 minutes a game, 23.7 points, 7.2 rebounds, 9.1 assists. That's first team All NBA. You know who that is?
Cade Cunningham.
Cade Cunningham.
Do you know what he also leads the league in?
Misses? Turnovers?
turnovers. He's
He's got
averaging 5 a game.
4.8. Yeah, almost 5 turnovers a game. Well, he's only 21, so hopefully that'll do something. So I know you have to go. So give me your.
No, we can do another 5-10 minutes.
Okay, we're good then. Okay, so look, and we're at the quarter pole, right? We're at the quarter pole of the NBA season. Other things that we need to be aware of is the Lakers are 9th. Do you know that the Lakers are 9 points better with LeBron off the court than they are with him on the court?
I did not.
So for the first time in his career, they are better, not surprisingly so, right? The first time in his career. The team is better with LeBron off the court than on the court. And he's averaging 22, 7, and 9. Almost a triple-double. But what does that mean? That means defensively, this team sucks. And that means he is getting old. And he's not able to defend. And granted, he's 39 years old, going to be 40 in a couple of weeks. I mean, hell, you and I could barely run 40 yards, let alone run up and down a court every day. But we talked about earlier on in our prediction what the Lakers needed to succeed. And they needed a healthy LeBron and a healthy Anthony Davis. Well, LeBron's played in 22 games, every game. Anthony Davis has played in 21 games, so he's missed one. Anthony Davis is averaging 26.9 points a game. LeBron's averaging 22.3, and they are in 10th.
They are in a very, very tough conference. They have, Dalton Connect has been a nice addition, but they're just not better than a lot of these teams.
Yeah. So surprise
isn't there.
Yeah. Surprises. The Pelicans are 4-18, my friend.
Shocks me.
Well, considering they didn't have a healthy point guard for 5 games. And they signed.
Well, but I thought they were my team. I thought they were the team that was going to make a jump.
Yeah. And they signed Elfrid Payton, who had
not making a jump.
He had 16 points and 21 assists, and they waived him 2 weeks later. Because that's who they are without right now Zion, DeJounte Murray, Trey Murphy III, CJ McCollum, Herbert Jones, and I think Ingram's still playing. So they're without those 5 guys. Those 5 guys that are starting 5. And they still have, by the way, only 2 guys over 6'10" on their team. And neither one of them plays more than 10 minutes a game. So they still haven't filled that center spot. So, but the good part, if you're a Pelicans fan, there is a good part. You won't give away your first-round pick if you're this bad. It's top 4 protected. Not really sure that's what you're looking for in New Orleans. But is this the end of the Zion Williamson experiment? That's the question.
They just signed him to a max extension. What exactly do you plan to do with him?
I plan to trade him.
Our esteemed leader is calling. Hold on.
Mr. Zelia?
We're hosting our show right now.
Hello, Mr. Zelia.
Okay. Anything I should add to the show? Zion, we already talked about the golden at bat. We are now talking, for those of you listening, Randy Zelia, the owner of Back Sports Page, just called in. We're talking about the end of the Zion experiment in New Orleans.
And Sean believes he'll be traded. We can't hear you. You are
Going into the NBA, we all knew what this was going to be. This isn't a surprise.
So Randy, I'm thinking that he has the possibility of getting traded at this year's deadline.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I get. Is it yeah? Awesome.
Guys, I'm sorry. I got to hop off. I got to take this call. I apologize.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
Call in anytime.
I think he did call anytime and put the speaker up. So I think he.
Remember when we used to take this show seriously?
Yeah, well, we still do. I mean, we just curse a lot fucking more. Anyway, so I think it's a matter of, look, if the experiment ends, right, what can you get for Zion? And who, if you're the Brooklyn Nets, is that a place?
It is. I think you can make because.
But you have to do it after this year. You can't do it before the deadline. You can't do
Agreed,
it
because you're still tank. You still want to tank,
right? You still want to capture the flag, right? You're not giving up your first round pick this year.
No,
but the Nets have one first round pick this year, just theirs, or do they have multiples? They have the Knicks
I think
pick.
they have two,
right? They have the Knicks pick. Hold on. So Nets future draft picks. They have their own 2025. They have holy cow, the lower of the Oklahoma City, Houston, or Phoenix. They have Milwaukee's protected 1 through 5, and they have the Knicks unprotected, and Miami's 31 protected 31. Oh, that's a second round pick. So they could have 4 first round picks. I think they would give up after the year, right, at the draft. I think they would give up 3 of those 4, not their own.
I do too.
Especially with the concept, they do have their own first round pick next year too, by the way. But I don't think that would matter.
No, I think the total would be 3 first round picks.
Well, they could also do the Knicks, and remember they have the Knicks picks forever, right? Due to Mikal Bridges. So they could trade some of those instead of trading their own and hoping that the Knicks fall flat on their face in 3 years. By the way, while we're looking at this, hello to the new Knicks who, while can't stop a damn dime because Mikal Bridges can't stop anybody, Brunson is shooting 25 points per game. Towns is shooting 25 points per game. Towns has a way to get to an all-NBA team this year. Another one. 25 points, 13 boards, 3 assists. And, dude, the guy is shooting 45% from 3.
He says he's the greatest big man 3-point shooter of all time.
If he shoots 45% from 3, guess what? He is the best 3-point shooter, big man of all time. I mean, the problem with the Knicks is that they just can't stop anybody. Mikal Bridges, who was supposed to be this superior defensive player, is just not doing it. They're giving up 111.2 points per game. That's no bueno on a long. If you want to put that so they are, I believe, 4th overall in offense and 8th in defense, 10th in defense. So anyway, all right, last 5 minutes. Let's get to it. I am at the point where here we are, and we are coming to the end of the age of what we learned, what we grew up with calling the Big East. And part of that is the death of these coaches that we remember. So first we had the death of Rolly Massimino. Then we had the death of John Thompson. And last week we had the death at 99
of Louis
Carnesecca. And I'll tell you, for all the plastic surgery that man had, he did not look any different than when he was 45. He looked exactly the same. For a guy that never left St. John's, he wanted that job.
No, he did. He left St. John. He coached the Nets.
Right. No, but I'm saying he wanted that job. That's the job he wanted, right? So he went to St. John's and he got that job. He went to the Nets for 3 years and came back to St. John's. Like, he was New York through and through. And when he left St. John's, that was it. He didn't do anything else. And between him, Massimino, Thompson, and we know the only one left is Jimmy B. I guess Patino's in there too, right? At Providence. Jim Calhoun in Connecticut.
The Big East was not the Big East at that point.
The Big East was those 4 guys, right? I mean, that was it. And Denny
I
Crum.
would put PJ in there, to be honest.
Oh, PJ. How about Denny Crum at Louisville?
Louisville wasn't part of the Big East at that
Oh,
point.
that's right. Not till later. Look, Louis, you gave in 1983. That was the
85.
85, the greatest Final Four, and Syracuse wasn't even in it. And that's how much I love that Final Four, because if you lived in New York or the New Jersey area, it was just Big East basketball all day, all night. And Chris Mullin was the guy from New York that, if you read the New York
Walter
newspaper,
Perry,
he was the guy.
and
Bill Wennington, Mark Jackson. I mean, that was a team, and you will not see a St.
I
John's
don't
team.
think Berry was on that team.
No, Berry was 2 years later. Berry was 2 years later. It was Wennington. I don't think Mark Jackson was on that team either.
I don't either. I think it was Wedding. Now I'm curious.
Yep, I'm going to it too. Here we go. 1985 St. John's roster. So, all right. Mark Jackson was on that team. Mark Jackson as a sophomore. Chris Mullin. Walter Berry was a sophomore. So both of them were on that team.
Yeah, but they weren't.
Right. They weren't who they were. Walter Berry was not a player of the year candidate that year.
No.
Bill Wennington, Sheldon Jones. That was your team. But it was really find Chris Mullin and let him shoot all day, every day. And yeah, I mean, that team was, when you look at New York basketball in the 1980s, he was that guy. It was Chris Mullin, and this was their team. So rest in peace to Louis. That's basically what I was getting at. All right, you're up.
I only got 2 minutes left. So a quick congratulations. Manny Pacquiao making the International Boxing Hall of Fame. There has very rarely been a more fun boxer to watch. To see a guy go from 106 pounds to 154, become the best fighter in my mind in the world at one point. His rivalry with Marquez was amazing. He beat everybody. Look, by the time he fought Floyd, honestly, he was past his prime. Whether he was number 1 or number 2 in the world, he was still past his prime. But great fighter, politician, in the Philippines, beloved around the world. Congratulations.
Yay, Manny. Yay. Okay. Seth Kamen. Next week, we'll be on Wednesday, as far as we know, from Arizona here, from New Jersey over there. We'll talk to you.
Have a good one.
See you, everybody. Bye-bye.